you took on, if I understand correctly, a lot of internships. You did a lot of script coverage, for example, which may not be the obvious first step when you first have your MFA out of Columbia University. What was that stage about?
I think maybe because I came in as an actor, I felt like I had a foot in the industry already. And I knew that there was a bubble at the school and that things were just not how people, and so I actually wanted to have more experience in the real world. And I wanted to get a sense of what the industry was like from the perspective of production companies. I mean, these are the companies that are going to be reading my material. I wanted to know how are they assessing work. And I felt like it was really important for me to also to get a glimpse of that process so that I could understand how, just have a better sense of how to position myself, or at least, I don't even know what the word is. It just helps me mature, and I think that I had I set much more realistic goals for myself because I had that experience in companies. And also, it's all about connections and networking and building those relationships. So I thought this is a great way to get a head start,
I mean, there's even something to be said for how either doing script coverage, where you have to summarize other people's scenarios, or in the case of François Truffaut, the first director whose work I wrote about, he was a film critic before he started making movies. And he said in an interview how important it was for him as a budding cineast to be a cinephile who had to summarize the plots of movies, because he realized the importance of the narrative through lines. He had to summarize when he was writing reviews, and that's what you have to do in script coverage as well. You always become more succinct and clear about the narrative through line.
Absolutely. I saw my writing jump from doing that for a year and a half. And also you start to pick up on things really quickly. You see the actors, you see the midpoints, you see things. And then also when it's not working, I feel like I can watch a movie, I can read a script and very quickly dissect what the problems are, because that's kind of what we're being asked to do when we're doing script coverage, in addition to some.
And one major question that I suspect you've come across, I ask myself in my classes that I teach film history, whose story is it? Because that's not clear, not even when you're watching a film. Sometimes there's surprises. You think the protagonist is one person, and then it turns out that maybe another, and then there might be a third. And especially if it's a collective protagonist. So I mean, I'm going to get to your first picture in a moment because that's where it leads me. Was that, was that an ongoing question when you read the scripts for them?
Yes, always. And if whose story is it, and also, there were genre things that a lot of times the producers wanted to talk about, and also if I felt like it wasn't the right character, that's something that stood out right away, or if it felt like a collective story, but it was just being told through one, those are sort of the things that you feel early on when you're reading a script.
Now, how many here have actually seen Ellie's film, Her Father the Devil? Okay, not enough. All right, I'm just going to give a tiny summary because, and I'm going to preface it by saying that I know this film may seem far from your personal experience, but I learned from the CAA Tribeca a year ago that it was inspired by the fact that your father worked for the United Nations in Rwanda after the genocide, and the country's efforts to enact forgiveness became visible during that time. So, first of all, it's in French. It's a gripping French language film, just so you know. And when I watched it, I decided that it illustrates the idea of the title of one of my books, Double Lives, Second Chances. That book is about the work of the great Polish director Kieślowski, but your characters go through a process that for me relates. And it's about a woman who recognizes the voice of a man who tortured her in another time and place and enacts revenge. Marie is a refugee from Rwanda, and she's now head of a retirement home, head chef rather, of a retirement home in France. This traumatized Black woman exercises tremendous restraint, rarely showing her emotion throughout the film. And then you have the arrival of the chaplain, played so well by Suleiman Sisaban. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I've been watching him in long films. He's great. He's welcomed by everyone except Marie, who believes that he is a former warlord in Soto. And she's hell bent on destroying him, even if it means self-destruction. The film ends with a limbo that is, I think, relatively hopeful. So I'm curious, especially because of the emphasis at Columbia on revision. How many drafts of the screenplay and how involved an editing process was there in terms of whittling it down to the central?
There was a lot of whittling down. There were about, but I was so clear on the story. It's one of the scripts I lived with for the longest time. I started writing in 2015. It was set in America, and I couldn't finish the script because it wasn't working. Something about it was off. And then at the beginning of 2019, I woke up from a dream and suddenly knew that I had to set it in Europe. So I re-outlined the script and then rewrote the first draft, and it basically wrote itself at that point. And from that first draft to, I think we had 4 more drafts until we locked the script. But even through the changes, and most of those drafts were really refining Maria, the main character's arc. And through the refinement of her arc, all the other characters sort of became more crystallized. But I will say that that core of the script, like 60% of it that I wrote in that, I would say second draft, which was the first draft in France, remained pretty intact. And it was a lot of shading of dialogue, especially because once I start working with the actors, I do a lot of taking reads. I'm really listening for like how does the dialogue sound, but also I can sense when an action is going to be more powerful, especially when we start to get on our feet with it. And that's really when I shape. I think I cut from the 3rd to the 4th draft, I cut about 20 pages of dialogue, which is a lot. Yeah.
But having seen the film, I can sense that is the case because you succeed in something that first-time directors don't often get right, namely how to find an image that will convey visually what reels of dialogue or exposition, would normally do. And I remember in the film the reflections, and there are haunting shots where you use shadows in a particular way, kind of like Kieślowski. Forgive me, I always invoke Kieślowski. Because I think he was the master storyteller of the late 20th century.
I mean, he was an influence on this movie.
I should hope so. And also, I think it's noteworthy that you decided not only to go to Europe with friends, and you, as part of your studies at Columbia, you did an exchange program with La Fenice, the film school in Paris. Was that one of the reasons that you may have shifted from the initial idea of America to France?
It's such a good question. I think subconsciously it is. Although I hadn't even made the connection in 2016 when I did the exchange. But because I got to go to France and I got to shoot something there, and I understood how the system worked, I think I got a lot of confidence from that experience. And then once it became clear the story needed to be in Europe, France just made the most sense, and it's where we have the most resources, and that town just ended up being the perfect location for it.
You speak French. I even noted when I was preparing for today that you studied classical French theater at the French American School in New York.
I mean, it wasn't cool at the time.
All right. So I remember your thesis film, Zenith, was a semi-finalist for the Student Academy short film Home, commissioned by Netflix. It premiered on its YouTube channel, and you made your TV debut on BET's Hip Hop Anthology Tales. Now, what I want to know, applause is good. You were at one point going to, I think, expand your short film, Zenith, into a feature, and you were going to star as an adopted Black Mennonite, because you do star in the short, who leaves the rural white community in which she was raised, and travels to an inner city neighborhood in Philadelphia to find her biological mother. The project was part of the 2019 Tribeca Untold Stories program. So that was your first direct connection to Tribeca.
Yeah.
May I ask if that project is still alive?
It is alive, and I figured out recently that it's not a feature, it's a series. Yes. So I've reworked it into a series, and again, when things don't work, I just put them down, and now everything has fallen into place, and I'm repitching it as a series, and it's building the traction in that form.
I find that really fascinating. You're not the first person that I have heard talk about this within the past month. I mean, 10 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about a series, and we certainly wouldn't be talking about streaming as an effective and gratifying way to get your story out there, but things have changed. And if you were to do it as a series, you would be, may I ask, director, writer, star, and showrunner, if this all worked?
I guess. That sounds very stupid.
I don't know if you used the word earlier, I'll return to it, ambitious. And of course, sometimes ambition is inherently stupid, but we don't realize your limitations. But I've always told my students, the limitations define the possibilities. Or as William Blake put it in The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, you never know what is enough until you know what is more than enough. So there's nothing to say that you can't do that, even if it may consume your life for a year or two, or if the series is very successful. Now, I have many more questions, but I'm mindful that some of you might have questions as well. So if at any point you want to ask something, please just raise your hand, and that will be fine. But I'm moving forward with a question of whether this project, the feature version of Zenith, is the next thing on your horizon, or are you in fact working on something else that you're able to share with us?
I'm working on something else. I'm working with an author named Ian Reed, and he told me that I can brag about him today, so I'm getting to that. Yes, I'm adapting a short story from Ian with him, actually. It's a sci-fi horror. It's a sci-fi horror that explores ambition. Also an inspiring actress. It's really an interesting, I can't say too much, but those are some of the themes of the story. And I think it's going to be my next, it is going to be my next movie. If you're watching this, it's going to be my next thing. It is my next movie. That's right. Yes.
Now, because of the nurturing role that the Tribeca Film Festival has played in your career, not just with Our Father the Devil, but previously, do you already keep in mind film festivals like Tribeca or Telluride or others? Is that part of the process as early as the conception, or does that just have to come later?
It really just has to come later, because it's impossible to know, what the slates will look like, what the mandates will look like. You never really know the timing of things as well, because a lot of it is based on what you're shooting, based on what the post, based on, what the producers say. Studios are going to know how those projects are going to come together, but there's so much that's out of your control at that stage that it's hard to say. But I have my desires and wishes. Telluride is still my favorite festival of all the ones I've been to.
Ellie and I saw each other at the Telluride Film Festival a few years ago, and it was so lovely being in the mountains of Colorado instead of Dodge Hall, which is fine, but and I remember it was just great hanging out. We were in the Upper Mountain Theater, and I know certain younger filmmakers who actually have stated that they're planning, they make their films so that it will be ready for copyright. I mean, that is the hope and the dream. But also the Tribeca Festival has really grown in its, not just prestige, but it's the number of films being shown, the enthusiasm generated among different communities in New York. It's frankly an astounding and beautiful thing to witness. And I'm sure that there are New York filmmakers in particular who say, I have to have my film ready for Tribeca. That's the other way of doing it. I'm going to ask something that I suspect at least a few people here might be asking deep down. What kind of advice do you have for aspiring filmmakers? Is there anything that you've been learning in this process? Whether it's something that you gleaned from classrooms or something that you gleaned from constantly pitching projects, because that becomes like a full-time job occasionally. You know, what would you tell? Are there 2 or 3 basic things that someone starting out should be aware of?
I wish I'd done this earlier, but please yourself first. This is such a big one. It took me so long to really embrace my own journey and to embrace the things that I liked, to put my own opinion ahead of others. Not to say that other people's opinions don't matter, but I think we give them way more weight than they have, or than they should have. You know, find the kinds of, figure out what kind of storyteller you are, what kind of films you want to make, and that's a journey in and of itself, you know, and it's an evolving journey. Give yourself the permission to discover that without, you know, having the criticism eat away at you. I think that's a big one. This is also an industry of networking. I'm a hermit. If I could, like when COVID started, I was like, this is heaven for me. I don't have to see anybody. This is great. Like, I'm gonna get everything done. So I'm that kind of person. Like, if I don't have to leave the house, if I don't have to go to a party, if I don't have to do anything, I'm happy. But I realized it's so important for me to get out of my bubble and to meet people and to go to the after parties. I've been doing that during Tribeca. It's exhausting. But at every party that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to, and I go and I meet someone, or I meet a producer, and a really incredible producer the other night. And I'm like, yeah, this is how projects come together. It's in those like personal, you know, one-on-one, and then you meet someone, and then you follow up, and then you have coffee, and then maybe nothing comes of it at that point in time, but maybe a year down the line, 2 years down the line, they're working on a project that you might be perfect for, or they might say, send me what you're working on, and then they become your first producer. I mean, that's just how this industry works. So I think, you know, putting yourself out there, networking, and also don't be afraid to like volunteer and get your feet and your hands dirty to know, you know, the ins and outs of how the industry is working.
Thank you so much for practically useful and I'm curious. So you were mentioning that you come from reading script coverage and knowing that side obviously you know, which is very story based. And I'm curious, like, do you think there's a difference in your process for writing when you're thinking about how it's going to be read versus thinking about how you want to direct it? And like, how do you navigate the difference between scripts and like how do you end up with what you said about like when you realize that you don't need this much, you can see what the action is.
Well, it's funny because I don't really think about. I think that when you're doing that script coverage, you're internalizing structure and character in a way that I think it's a lot of it is subconscious. I don't necessarily think about it anymore. I feel like it's kind of ingrained in me. Part of it is, you know, you have your trusted people. Sometimes you write something, and for you it sounds. And I think because I'm a very visual writer, like I sort of see the film and I've written it. Once it's on the page, I'm like, okay, it's super clear, but sometimes it's not always clear to the reader. So I have like 1 or 2 or 3 trusted readers to make sure it's like that what I'm trying to communicate is clear. But I'm not super preoccupied with the like, how do I say it? It's not that I'm not thinking about how the script's going to be read. I don't think about it necessarily that way. I just think about it in terms of emotionally, are the characters coming off the way that I want them to? Or am I leaving my reader with the emotions that I want? But those are the key things. Nothing else really matters because the film will be another thing. But I think it's more important for you to fulfill your vision as a director than whatever other things might be floating around, because it's just a blueprint and it's going to change.
Now, Sigrid mentioned that you are a member of the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild, and SAG-AFTRA. What if, I love these hypotheticals, what if you were offered a great part as an actor only? In other words, you would not be writing or directing, you would be submitting to the vision of the filmmakers. Is that something that you're still open to, or has your identity become anchored in writing?
I am still open to it. It's just this particular period, and I actually just was offered something that I had to say no to. Had a good cry about it, and I said no, it's not the right time. Right now, I have the one I told you about, the sci-fi, but I also have 2 other projects that I'm developing with producers on board already. They're very early stages. These are pitches. Oh, that's the other thing. You better get comfortable pitching, because you're going to be doing it full time, all the time. Elevator pitches, longer pitches. Just you have to get comfortable talking to your life. You have to get comfortable talking about your story. So, yeah.
A way to get, in other words, when you started pitching or when you became really good at it, did you have some written notes somewhere on your phone, or was it a question of eye contact with someone, sort of not letting them out of your days? What is the best way to pitch?
I mean, everyone has to find their own style. I think it's whatever makes you the most comfortable. I did start with the notes, and and then I realized, well, actually, this is a performance, because I'm a very shy person, and like standing up in front of people made me a little bit sick. And then I had to change my mindset and think, well, what if you were acting? What if you're on stage? And what if you were, so I sort of shifted my mindset so that I'm putting on a performance with this person, and it's kind of the same thing. And then I suddenly felt like I was in my comfort zone again, because I'm confident as an actor, I'm not confident as a person. So, I've become more confident as a person through this, faking it through, what is it, fake it till you make it. It's worked.
It sounds like your acting talent has enabled you to maximize your potential as a writer-director. That's a great way to think about how to pitch, It's not me doing the pitch, it's my alter ego. And it doesn't matter if that alter ego person has thing on her face, because it's not me, Yes, of course. If I just want to check in time, we have time for one more question. If anyone has a yes, I will give you 2.
So I applied to a program called the Venice Biennale College. It's a program that workshops micro-budget features under now €200,000. So I was trying to make Zenith forever, and it's a much bigger movie, and also very challenging with me wanting to star in it, and for whatever reason, that's the only project I've ever written that I just was like, I will die, I will go to my grave with the script. If I don't have to, no one is going to do it. So it's the only one. And I think you kept saying, just let it go. And I said, no, it's dying. So I put that down because that wasn't going to happen at the time. And I thought, I just wanted, and I made an episode of television, and it was was an hour episodic, and I thought, I got such a boost of confidence from doing that, because that was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. I was thrown to the wolves, and it was like shooting 8 to 9 pages a day with an actor that wasn't seasoned. It was crazy. After I got through that, I really wanted to make something. I thought, I don't want to wait another 5 years, and so however you can, that was a program that worked for me. I think they're just opened up, looking for grants or getting friends together, like however you fundraise, whether it's a $50,000 short on a feature or $100,000 feature, which is hard to make, by the way, but whatever it is, or however it is that you can, if you have an idea that you can make for a small amount of money, just so that you can at least get that, like, opportunity to make your first feature. For me, that was my initiative. And so when I went through this program, it was amazing because I workshopped the script there, and then I got a lot of mentorship in terms of the production side of it. And essentially, you workshop the first 12 teams workshop, and then they pick 4 to finance. And once you finance, I was supposed to shoot in April of 2020. And then the pandemic happened, and so now I'm actually here to sit with my circuits. And I really just kept refining it, and then we shot in the summer of 2021, June 2021, which was very late because of all the drama that happened around the closing of borders and stuff like that. And then it was a 20-day shoot, and then Venice was like, we want to cut. July 15th. So it was like a very, very tight, that was my sort of my journey to getting the film done. And then the challenge was like finishing it and then figuring out how we were gonna put it out there. And Tribeca last year was our North American premiere. And that's really the first time I showed the completed version of the film, because it was presented as a work in progress.
Oh, yeah, sorry, just sort of about acting. That's such a great since actors. And so I was asking you for different films as an actor, director's vision. So I'm just like really curious about that interplay. Since like I'm very wrong, if I remember correctly, I don't know, commentary track for Peace Lost Blue. At the end, I think we're Juliet just wanted to smile. Didn't want her to smile, she wanted. And it's like, so there's a director's vision, right? In perspective as an actor, you're like, no, I want to do this thing. So I'm just like, I know I feel like that's interesting to me, like when you get these great performances, you're the director's vision, the actors push back. How do you deal with that? It's very calm.
I mean, that's such a good question. I really respect actors so much. And if an actor says to me, this is what they're feeling as a character, I believe them, because as an actor, I know that at some point you know that character better than the director. At the same time, I think my job as a director is to be more of a manager. I'm there to like keep the vision clear. And I think something like that, it would be a situation where I would allow the actor to have it take the way that they want it, and then I get to take the way that I want it. But I would say 9 times out of 10 the actors right. I believe that. There was the few times that me and my actress weren't on the same page, she was right 9 times out of 10. And I'm very happy that I wasn't stubborn about it. And that was a big lesson for me, is to keep an open mind. And also because there's a lot of things that happen in the moment that you don't plan for. And our father was a lot of that, there's so much that's like, I can't even imagine some of the stuff that she did in that movie. And that's the magic of filmmaking. So you have to trust your collaborators as well.
Well, I know we have a little reception waiting for us. I just want to say how delightful it is to hear this wonderful bridge person between Tribeca and Columbia, who has been doing such wonderful work, and we can't wait to see what's next. Thank you, Ellie.
thank you all again. You can head out to the lobby for drinks and line bites. And also, it's just by chance you happen to be in California. Jessica.